So a friend of mine came up to me and finally said, "Hey Jake, I see what you're doing, and I want to know more about the comics. I really want to get into where can I jump off on?" Well, that's a really good question. The thing about comics is there's never usually a good point you can jump off on to start. I mean, Marvel has a thing called continual continuity, which means like it's continuous ever since Avengers #1 in way back in the day to now. It's continuous continuity. Where DC would have it where every 10 years they would basically do a thing called a crisis, and in that crisis they would fix continuity problems. And they recently did really good with what they're doing right now. Now, that's the thing. DC. One of the things that I know a lot of comic book fans are not going to like what I'm going to say on this, but it's the one way I kind of jump on it when I kind of became more of a comic fan, is the New 52. The New 52 was released in 2011. And what it was DC saying, hey, we're starting over. This is a new thing. We want you to treat any this comic as it's like the first time we have ever published anything. And it was great. They came up with a whole bunch. I mean, they just slapped everything. Any character you could think of, they slapped the thing on and said, here, read this. And they saw how it did. And, I mean, my first video was Grant Morrison's Action Comics New 52. It was the first brand of that. But the only two out of those things that didn't really start over was Green Lantern and Batman. Mainly because of how popular they were and how much they were getting into. Green Lantern was getting written by Jeff Johns at the time, and it was an amazing comic. He was not done with it. He was starting to get done with it. He still had a little plan on getting it through. So that was continual through the original stuff. And then Scott Snyder had, it was never really clear with Batman, if it was starting over or not. I mean, it was kind of from what I understood, they said that they basically, people would go, well, is the Killing Joke part of the continuity? And they were like, well, did you like the Killing Joke? And they're like, oh yeah, well then it's part of the continuity. And or was Nightfall or was Nightfall part of the story? And he goes, would you like that? Yeah, well, yeah, it's part of it. So you kind of had to assume, and it wasn't until they reference it in the comics that, oh, okay, this is continuity. So yeah, but honestly, those are the ones I would kind of recommend. If you want to get into anything and you want to be into, for DC, New 52. Marvel, that's the tricky part. I can't give you a jumping off point except for the comics that I recommend you guys in the comic movie equation or as a comic review. Mainly because there's no good starting point, really. I mean, there's no good really starting point to jump off on. That's not saying that all Marvel comics are bad or anything. No, I'm not saying that at all. They're fantastic. There's some really good ones coming out right now. But I mean, you have to really, that would be one I would say, ask your fellow comic book reader, or ask your local comic book store person. Personally, for me, I mean, you can go with the Ultimate series in Marvel. And it was, I think, in 2000, they released a series that was just supposed to be edgy and more realistic and more kind of realistic in this time frame. And so they created the Ultimates. They were basically the Avengers, but they were called the Ultimates. And that's where Brian Michael Bendis really blew up and created Ultimate Spider-Man. That's where he got his. And the thing about Ultimate Spider-Man that was so popular about it was that it wasn't that it was focusing more on Spider-Man, it was focusing more on Peter Parker. Meaning Peter Parker was more of a character. You saw more of him and kind of less of Spider-Man. So, I mean, it's really up to you what you want to get to. I mean, the one thing I would really recommend, if you really want to get into it, go to a subscription base. They just announced right now DC Universe and Marvel Unlimited. DC Universe, which is coming out in August, which I'm excited for, I can't wait for it, it's going to be great, is their streaming service. It's going to be everything that every comic book fan really wants from DC. It's their movies, it's their animated films back in the day, and it's a couple of their comics, which is going to be on that thing, which I can't wait for. I don't know what the subscription rate is, but I definitely put myself in the beta. Hopefully I get it. Please, DC, if you're watching this right now, please let me get it. Marvel side is called Marvel Unlimited, and I had that for a year. It was great. So what Marvel Unlimited is you pay $10 a month, and you get their comics. You get their backlog, their whole backlog, meaning from their very first comics till 6 months from the new ones. Meaning, like, if, for instance, right now, Venom #3 just came out. And that comic won't be shown on Marvel Unlimited until 6 months from now. Then that will show up. So you'll always be behind, but in my case, that was the thing that got me like caught up with the most like famous stories, and they have a huge selection. I mean, I was on that thing non-stop, and I was reading comics galore. I mean, that's where I read Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight. That's where I read all of Bendis' stuff. I read all of Grant Morrison's like X-Men, which was amazing. I mean, it's just Joss Whedon, if you guys know him, the guy who did Avengers. He wrote a comic. He wrote Astonishing X-Men, which brought back Colossus. Colossus had died at one point. I mean, it's a great service. And if you do their Unlimited Plus, you get benefits. It's really cool. I actually didn't get to get those benefits. I did it for a year, but then I canceled it midway. And then later that year, I went to C2E2. Well, there was a panel strictly for Marvel Unlimited Plus members. If you went in there, you showed them the card, you got to meet like CB Sobolski, you got to like have Q&A. I mean, it was like, why the frick did I cancel that? I didn't even realize that, because I knew like you go to cons and you get like certain things. So I'm hoping DC Universe is going to do that same thing. It's going to be great, guys. So those are my recommends if you really want to get into the comics. Oh, one other thing. The one thing that you guys aren't going to think about, and if you're really wanting to be cheap and just see if you can do it, go to your local library. Yeah, I said that. Go to your library. Mainly because that's how I started. Okay? I went to my local library at Cascade, and I went and got CDs. Well, I was kind of getting sick and tired of just getting CDs and listening to them and all that. So I went to the teen section. At the time, I was still in high school. And I saw they had a manga section. And I was like, oh, cool. And then right above it was comics. And it wasn't indie stuff, but it was mainly DC and Marvel. And they had like the whole like almost complete collection of Civil War. And when I mean the complete collection, I'm not talking about the event collection, which is like that much. I'm talking about they had the Spider-Man event of Civil War. They had the Wolverine side. They had the Young Avengers, Doctor Strange, everything on that. And I was just like, and that's how I know all about the Civil War thing now. And it's free. I mean, you just have to have a lottery card. You go check them out, put them in. Just jump into it, do it. And eventually, once you feel comfortable enough, find your writer. That's what I do, is I find there are certain writers that are people that I will just absolutely buy for. They are, as I can say right now, I've mentioned them all before, Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron. The new one I really like right now is Donnie Coates, who's doing Venom, and he's doing a fantastic run. I know if you guys have seen my one video when I ranted about it and I said, oh, I've heard it's bad. Well, that was someone being trolling and I didn't realize it. So finally, everyone was like, oh no, you're missing out and you need to read it. So I finally picked up 3 issues that I have, and oh my god, this is amazing. Like, that guy is great. I am so excited. If they base that off that film, maybe I'll be excited. But it's Sony, so I really don't think I'm going to be excited. But who knows? But that's my recommendation for you guys. And I hope you really just jump into it. I mean, honestly, that's how I got into it. That's how I really got into being a comic book nerd. And the channels that really helped me out were like Comicstorian, Comic Pop, and, Comics Explained. The big 3, I always call them. They're one of the guys that, like, they really got me into it and really wanted me to actually start doing this. Like, I was very nervous doing this when I was a kid. I didn't really I was always shy in front of the camera. I mean, I made videos. I did, if you look at my, like, actual links, I'll put the link down in the description below what I had. I made a Mass Effect video. I was a huge nerd, and I was a guy that could do all the special effects and everything. I just didn't like being in front of the camera. So this, for me, was a turning point. After C2E2, my friend David, you guys seen the video, we go to the C2E2 adventure, he told me, just do it, man. Just jump into it. You just gotta do it. And you'll get better as you go. And, look at the advance right now. I mean, I never thought I would get 100 subscribers in 3 months. I never thought I'd get that. And it's all thanks to you guys, and I really appreciate what you do. But honestly, It's the one thing that I would recommend you guys doing. Just go to your local comic book shop. There's a link down in the description below that's gonna have like some sort of guide of where your local comic book shops are. Go up to them, say, hey, I watched this guy. You can mention my name, Comicmanjake. They'll probably say who, but I mentioned this guy, Comicmanjake, and I want to get into blank. That's my question for you guys today. What comics do you really want to get into? What comic books, movies did you really like and you're like, I want to know more about this character? Alright guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate all you do. And you know, if you're watching this episode right now, that means you watched the other ones, right? So like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching guys. Peace out.